You are watching the Election Center. Let's begin this. Of course, tonight we're looking at land. It has been an emotive issue. A lot of people say this is an issue that has not been sorted out since independence. Tonight, it is our focal point, live from 5 different locations. We will be looking at it from different dimensions. But for now, let me take you to Noah Otieno, because there has been a lot of conflicts that have been associated with land in this country. Noah Otieno takes a closer look at those conflicts.
Thank you very much, Linda. Now, the so-called ethnic clashes, according to Human Rights Watch and the former Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, are predominantly caused by fights about land and water resources. The hotspots for land clashes in Kenya include Narok, Tharaka Nithi, Nakuru, Trans Nzoia, Uasin Gishu, Nandi, Bungoma, Laikipia, Mombasa, and Tana River counties. Most of these are instigated during or just before the election. Why? We will see that in a short while. Now, the history of some of the worst land-related ethnic clashes in Kenya follow the election cycles. Why? Especially from the time of the multi-party era began at the end of 1991. In 1990, for example, clashes erupted in Transmara district between the Maasai and the Kuria, and historians now say it was mainly about scarce fertile land and water resources. In 1991, again, conflict over land in Nandi Hills between the Tugen and the Kikuyu and all those others who were considered to be supporting the opposition leaders at that time. Then there is the infamous Likoni clashes of 1992 and 1997, when the so-called indigenous coastal communities, especially the Digo, fought with others considered to be outsiders in the region. This was also experienced in Kwale, where the land issue still persists. In 1997 alone, 65 people died in 2 weeks of clashes in Likoni, among them 13 police officers. In 1992 again, the same election year, the Pokot and the Kikuyu fought over land and water resources in Laikipia. At least 21 people were killed. That year, 1992, was also to see land-related tribal clashes in almost all the hotspots known in Kenya. There were clashes in Molo, Narok, Pokot, Londiani, Elbagon, and Burnt Forest. Hundreds were reported killed. Hundreds of thousands were displaced from their homes and property burnt to ashes. One ugly conflict that stands out from the 1992 is that of Trans Nzoia in 1992 in Cherangani Hills, where the Kalenjin and the Teso engaged each other in a bitter fight, leaving at least 80 people dead, several thousand displaced. Between 1992 and 1993, the Maasai of Enosupukia in Narok district had bitter conflicts with the so-called outsiders in Mayela and Enosupukia. Thousands ended up in displacement camps, especially around churches. There was also the insurgency of the Sabaot Land Defense Force, famously known as the SLDF, in Mount Elgon from around 1999 all the way to 2007, when the army moved in an operation to flush them out. The SLDF maintained that their land had been taken by, again, people they called outsiders, whom they wanted to be routed out of the area. The latest one is the clashes of the Tana River region, clashes that began in August last year and continued even to January this year. At least 120 people have been killed and entire villages burnt to ashes as the farmers of Pokomo group and the cattle keepers of the Orma group fought over land and water. But why do the communities fight each other, especially in electioneering periods? And according to the former Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, Human Rights Watch, and also the UN Coordinating Committee for Humanitarian Affairs, this is what happens in election years. Politicians sometimes instigate clashes to punish the so-called outsiders in their regions or those who support their rivals, usually from the minority groups in a particular area. The other explanation given is that they want to terrorize others to run away so that the locals can remain with the land. Most of the conflicts occur in areas where either land is very fertile but very scarce, or where access to water resources is limited. In the years prior to the 2002 election, some argue that land clashes were used to push the agenda of a federal system of government, or Majimboism as some call it, which would give certain communities control of the land in their regions. Back to you, Linda.